devotees. Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Welcome to the wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam class at Radha Kalashanji Dham. It's wonderful because the Srimad Bhagavatam is completely transcendental. So we just hear from Srimad Bhagavatam and our life can be complete. It will encourage us to chant the holy name in the right state of mind. Before we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we will sing Jai Radha Madhava. If you want to get your reading ready, we will be reading from the 6th canto, chapter 16. I know 29 is the focus verse. I believe it's 26 through 33. Let me just double check that real quick. It is 26 through 33. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nanda-braja Jana-ranjana Yashoda Nanda-braja Jana-ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavadava Girivaradari Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Jaya Radha Kalasanji, Radha Kalasanji, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Sajuna Prabhu. Okay, a few invocation verses, and we'll get into the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then we'll get to this whopper of a purport. This purport is, get ready. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And if we can do these invocation verses, both the Sanskrit and English together, please. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devyam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very Queens of Conquest, one should offer the respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashte prayesha abreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhagavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in the Srimad Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who's praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyantimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. Obeisance unto him, to them. Okay, let's go to chapter 16, and we'll go right here to 26, and we're going to read up to 33, and then we're going to focus on text 29. If somebody would like to start, please.
Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, Narada, having become the spiritual master of Chitraketu, instructed him fully in this prayer because Chitraketu was fully surrendered. O King Parikshit, Narada then left with the great sage Angira for the topmost planet known as Brahmaloka.
So, Chitraketu got Harinam initiation. Wow.
Fasting and drinking only water, Chitraketu for 1 week continuously chanted with great care and attention the mantra given by Narada Muni.
O King Parikshit, after only 1 week of repeatedly practicing the mantra received from the spiritual master, Chitraketu achieved the rule of the planet of the Vidyadharas as an intermediate product of his spiritual advancement in knowledge.
Thereafter, within a very few days, by the influence of the mantra that Chitraketu had practiced, his mind became increasingly enlightened in spiritual progress, and he attained shelter at the lotus feet of Anantadev.
Upon reaching the shelter of Lord Shesha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chitraketu saw that he was as white as the white fibers of a lotus flower. He was dressed in bluish garments and adorned with a brilliantly glittering helmet, armlets, belt, and bangles. His face was smiling, and his eyes were reddish. He was surrounded by such exalted, liberated persons as Sanat Kumara.
As soon as Maharaj Chitraketu saw the Supreme Lord, he was cleansed of all material contamination and situated in his original Krishna consciousness, being completely purified. He became silent and grave, and because of love for the Lord, tears fell from his eyes, and his hair stood on end. With great devotion and love, he offered his respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead.
With tears of love and affection, Chitraketu repeatedly moistened his resting place of the Supreme Lord's feet. Because his voice was choked in ecstasy for a considerable time, he was unable to utter any of the letters of the alphabet to offer the Lord suitable prayers.
You ever been choked up so much you can't even talk? It's an interesting feeling, isn't it?
Thereafter, by controlling his mind with his intelligence and thus restricting his senses from external engagements, he recovered suitable words with which to express his feelings. Thus he began offering prayers to the Lord, who is the personification of the Holy Scriptures, the Satvata Samhitas like the Brahma Samhita and Narada Pancharatra, and who is the Supreme Personality of all. He offered his prayers as follows.
Okay. Let's go to 29, please. Text 29. 6:16:29. Tattakati paya hobir vidyaya deya manogati jagama deva devasya seshasya charanantikam. Solo, please. Chant. Nattakati payahobir vidyayeda monogati jagama deva devasya sheshasya charanatikam. Nattakati payahobir vidyayeda monogati Jagama Deva Devasya Sheshasya Charanantikam Tatikanti Pahovir Vidyayeda Monogatahi Jagama Deva Devasya Sheshasya Charanantikam Tattakati payahobir vidyaheda manogati jagama deva devasya seshasya charanatikam. Let's read the Sanskrit and translation together, please. Tatta, thereafter, Katipaya Abobahi, within a few days, Vidyaya, by the spiritual mantra, Idya Mana Gatihi, the course of his mind being enlightened, Jagama went, Deva Devasya, O the master of the lords and demigods, Sesha, Lord Shesha, Shanan Antikam, to the shelter, lotus feet. Translation in purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thereafter, within a very few days, by the influence of the mantra that Chitraketu had practiced, his mind became increasingly enlightened in spiritual progress, and he attained shelter at the lotus feet of Anantadev. Purport: a devotee's ultimate achievement is to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in any one of the planets in the spiritual sky. As a result of rigid execution of devotional service, a devotee receives all material opulences if these are required. Otherwise, the devotee is not interested in material opulences, nor does the Supreme Lord award him them. When a devotee is actually engaged in devotional service of the Lord, his apparently material opulences are not material. They are all spiritual. For example, if a devotee spends money to construct a beautiful and costly temple, the construction is not material, but spiritual. Nirbandha Krishna Sambade Yuktam Vyagyam Uchate. A devotee's mind is never diverted to the material side of the temple. The bricks, stones, and wood used in the construction of the temple are spiritual, just as the deity although made of stone, is not stone, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. The more one advances in spiritual consciousness, the more he can understand the elements of devotional service. Nothing in devotional service is material. Everything is spiritual. Consequently, a devotee is awarded so-called material opulence for spiritual advancement. This opulence is an aid to help the devotee advance towards the spiritual kingdom. Thus, Maharaj Chitraketu remained in material opulences ad Vidyadhara Pati, master of the Vidyadharas. And by executing devotional service, he became perfect within the very few days and returned home, back to Godhead, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shesha Ananta. A karmi's material opulence and a devotee's material opulence are not on the same level. Srila Madhavacharya comments in this way: Antyanhara manan Vishnum upasanyanya samipagya bhavade yoga tahai tasya padam vam pramanoyan naraha. By worshiping Lord Vishnu, one can get whatever he desires. But the pure devotee never asks Lord Vishnu for any material profit. Instead, he serves Lord Vishnu without material desires and is therefore ultimately transferred to the spiritual kingdom. In this regard, Srila Vira Argava Acharya comments, Ateshta Gatir Iti Artaha. By worshiping Vishnu, a devotee can get whatever he likes. Maharaj Chitraketu wanted only to return home, back to Godhead, and therefore he achieved success in that way. Wow. What a purport, huh? So, there was a study done, and people were really interested on what is it that helps people to be successful. And they said that they wanted, please give us the 5 top reasons why people are successful. So after some time doing the study, they came back and they go, well, to be honest with you, we actually don't have 5 things. We can give you 1 thing. What makes somebody successful? Anybody have a guess? Or no. I mean, maybe you know it. You're not even guessing. I know the answer. Go ahead. Persistence. Very nice, right? To be successful, you have to remain persistent. Any other? Juno. To be successful, there has to be some satisfaction behind it that keeps the drive of the person going. Am I hearing you correctly? Yeah? Yeah? Any adjustments in that? I want to hear you correctly.
I was thinking about how there are so many different definitions for success. Some people might see material success as success, financial success as success, spiritual success, just contentment as success. So it really depends on what you view as success.
Yeah.
So then it's actually possible to be successful without any material stuff if you're satisfied in it.
Yeah, yeah. So let's define success as progressing towards one's goals or desires. Any other suggestion? Thought?
Good mentor.
Did you Google
Cheated.
it?
I asked AI.
Yeah. What does AI say the success is?
Well, I say that having good mentors. Having good mentors.
You took inspiration from AI and then...
No, I was just joking. I didn't ask AI.
So good mentors. This is what helps somebody become successful. If we want to have a reference to where we are, where we're going, we have to have some people that done it before and can help us move in that path. Very nice answer. Their answer came up to the number 1 cause for success is making a decision. Most people don't make a decision. For instance, Thomas Edison, he created a light bulb, and he failed like 1,000 times. So he was asked, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I figured out 1,000 times how not to make a light bulb. And then the last time I figured out how to make a light bulb. So, Krishna consciousness is a lot like this. Because sometimes we go through life and we don't even know what decisions we're making. We go on autopilot. Doot, doot, doot. We turn our Tesla car onto self-drive. But to have some direction in our life, we have to make a choice. And when we choose to become Krishna conscious, to know Krishna, something amazing happens. Everything in our life no longer becomes material, it becomes spiritual. And this is kind of tough to see because at first when we make this decision, the fan of the laws of karma are still spinning. And let's be honest, we're flickering. Like making a decision, but we're kind of like, testing it out, right? Going back and forth. Is this the right choice? Is this? So in Krishna consciousness, our devotional service can always be done first by making a choice that it is devotional service. I am doing this only for the pleasure of Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji, for Krishna. If we don't do this, we might get lucky and it might be devotional service, or we might get distracted by some kind of material desire, and all of a sudden we start to go off the path. So I ask you all right now, where are you? What do I mean by, are we at a temple? Are we sitting here? But where are you? We can be in the mind, like later on in the day, I've got this thing to do, this thing to do, and this thing to do. And so are we really here? Are we really present? Are we at this activity? Mothers might be thinking, I got to get my kids to school, and so they're planning it in their mind. And so you can say, where are you? You're in your mind, making choices and going here and going there. And when we do that, when we're letting the mind dictate the way we're going, then it can be a distraction to our devotional service. Because the mind is material. Why do I mention this? Because as devotees, we're trying to get out of our mind. I heard somebody tell me the other day, like, our mindset. We got to have the right mindset. And I thought, no. We have to have the right heart set. Our mind can be a friend or an enemy. But the heart, who we truly are, that spirit soul that's presided in the heart, that's who we truly are. And when we come into a space where we think, my heart is sitting at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji, then you know what happens with the mind? It automatically falls in line. It can't take us anywhere that's not for the purpose of serving Krishna. It's really quite an amazing thing. So, I'd like to take a minute and maybe we can do a little meditation and see, or a little thought, a little consciousness, not even mindset. And take a deep breath and ask ourselves, where is our heart? And my encouragement is, if you don't know where your heart is, or your heart is somewhere other than at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji or our gurus, then ask your heart, please go to this direction. Push it right there to Radha Kalashanji's lotus feet. And you, if this is something that makes sense to you, often when I try to put myself at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji, I imagine myself paying my obeisances. So I'm in the heart, I'm paying my obeisances right at their lotus feet. You might see something different. Where is your heart? Now, I apologize if this is a little quick. Sometimes we can have a lot to say, and so we kind of move quickly in Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you're at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji and you're saying, Nanda-braja, shut up. I like this. I apologize. You'll notice if you are able to get to that space, that heart space at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji, that automatically your mind is not disturbing you. It's not pulling you away from this or that. When your heart, when you are at the lotus feet of Krishna, then automatically the senses, the mind, the intelligence, the false ego, they go, okay, we are your servant. This is the blessed place to be. How can I help? But they're very tricky, so then when we're not at a place where we're making the choice to become Krishna consciousness, they can often pull us off. So why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this because as devotees, we are very rigid, as Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, in our devotional service. Then our heart stays at that place. Our consciousness stays at that place at Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji's lotus feet. And in that space, in that place, Radha Kalashanji starts introducing things into our life that are only for his service. He's doing that anyways. However, because we get away from understanding that we are the servant of Krishna and that we're at his lotus feet and that we're his servant, we start to use those in the wrong way. This is called Maya. So what do I mean by that? Krishna is always providing everything we need to become Krishna consciousness, but Maya is we start seeing it separate from Krishna. We start seeing this as something different. It's my material life. Oh, I have my material life, Prabhu, and I have my spiritual life, Prabhu. No, that's illusion, that's Maya. Please, you're a devotee. Make the decision, make the choice that this is nothing but Krishna's mercy. And therefore, if we can't understand in our time and our place the situation of why Krishna is doing what he's doing, then we go to Guru, right? Please, I don't understand this. I don't understand why Krishna is providing this in my life. Please help me understand, because I know that Krishna would not do anything to hurt me. And so, with the instruction of the spiritual master, we start to understand more and more about how Krishna is acting in our life. And this is all given, this is all done, propelled, slingshot by the Maha Mantra. Ketu, he got a mantra from Narada Muni, his spiritual master, and in just a few days he became completely Krishna conscious. And our Guru, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, is also giving us a mantra for the ultimate cause of life, the highest purpose, the highest success. And he's saying, chant this mantra, and we can be very, very confident that if we chant this mantra, then our life, Krishna will he'll steer us in the right direction. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty in this purport. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna For the devotee can give him all opulences. Why? For his devotional service. So this is very broad-minded. And Krishna consciousness, sometimes we like to pigeonhole, like this is what it means to be Krishna consciousness. But then you'll see Srila Prabhupada in his books give us a totally other perspective. Because we've heard in Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear in so many lectures, we hear in from it, that, oh, Krishna's so kind that he takes everything away from the devotee. But could we say from this purport that Krishna's so kind that he even gives the devotee everything they need to perform devotional service? We just have to be ready for it. We have to be ready for whatever Krishna gives to us, is that it's his mercy and that it is meant for our serving him. Yesterday, I think it was, I heard somebody say something beautiful about that art. Oh, Ratna Gopi, I was cooking, so I was coming in, but one thing I heard was very beautiful was she was talking about arti. And our arti ceremony is simply that Krishna has given these and we're giving back to him. We don't even have anything, but we're giving it back to Krishna. In this Krishna consciousness movement, we need some people to make a sacrifice. And we need that sacrifice to become very rich, because we have so many programs that need funding. We have Krishna houses that need to be at every university, every temple, and and we go, how can we do that? We need money. So we should encourage devotees to be very, very open-handed to any opulence that Krishna wants to give to them, whether it's through renunciation of very little things or with many, many millions and billions of dollars, so that we can provide an institution that people can take shelter of and really find and get help for the ultimate goal in life, and that is to be at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Kalashanji, Ananta Shesha, Narayan, Krishna, Gopal. As Srila Prabhupada said in this purport, any one of the spiritual worlds, we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So, I'll pause there, and it's 8:16, and say, what do you guys think? Any comments? Any questions? Gokulananda Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was a wonderful class. A food for thought. I was thinking, as you mentioned, Yasyaham Anugrahanami Harishe Taddanam, Srila Prabhupada said, and as opposed to that, today's verse, right? When Lord decides to award any of his opulences, that reminded me of one of the lectures of my Guru Maharaj, Radhanath Swami. He once mentioned, spiritual master loves all of his disciples, but he trusts very few. So that trust comes only when there is confidence developed in that disciple. So that chastisement is deserved by someone who is trustworthy. At the same time, there are responsibilities awarded to that trustworthy disciple. So similarly, I was thinking, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, he won't award any of these opulences, 6 opulences, including renunciation. And that also includes wealth, right? Unless he develops the trust in someone or the confidence that he's going to use everything in his service for his mission.
Great point, Prabhuji. And we need to make the choice that I will be trustworthy, right? Krishna can trust me. I might make mistakes, but my choice is that I will, when I make a mistake, I will get back there. I will apologize, I will do it, and the next time it happens, I'll make adjustments. See, when we make a choice, our perspective, when we make a determined choice, our perspective changes. And the fact that we become determined to keep on adjusting so that we can become completely trustworthy, right? I really like that. I really like it, and it's a little scary at the same time. What Radhanath Maharaj said is, he loves all his disciples, but he can trust few. I pray, I make the choice to become someone my guru can trust. Might take a little while, but we'll get there. Any other comments, thoughts? Rupa Prabhu? You're pausing too much.
No, I just want others to speak.
Rupa.
I was just really appreciating in the verses how after 1 week, he received, of course, Narada Muni is not an ordinary spiritual master, and Chitraketu is not an ordinary personality, but that he just for 1 week fasted completely and so, sincerely chanted this mantra and prayed to the Lord appeared. And just the description of how when the Lord came, how his tears were so profuse that they were washing the ground beneath the Lord's feet, and how he lost the ability to even speak a letter, not even a word, but he couldn't even say, like, I don't know what, like, just completely gone. And then in the next verse, when he's talking about when he finally regains the ability to speak using his intelligence, and I don't remember the exact translation, but in it he says that the Lord's conquered by the devotee. And I just found that to be so interesting. Like, I can't even speak, and I'm like, tears are pouring from my eyes. And then the first thing he says is, he brings up that the Lord is conquered by his devotee. Just thought it was such a extreme shift from being completely speechless to even, mentioning the Lord's actually conquered by the devotee. It's, anyway, just really appreciating it. It's so beautiful to hear it. And it's just amazing to see what's actually possible, right? Prabhupada says so many times, if you just by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 1 time, you can be liberated. But just what level of intensity are we going to do that with? What is our focus on that, and what can happen? Anyway, yeah, thank you so much. Wonderful class.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
I was just wondering about one point that you made, because you said that as devotees we shouldn't consider that I have my material life and spiritual life, but that it's all spiritual. And then I was thinking that, when we first come to Krishna consciousness, we do some spiritual practices, but we also may still have our, nonsense that we dabble in from time to time. So if we think that's also spiritual, then we could, be justifying behaviors that are not very helpful for our actual spiritual progress. So is it that at a certain stage it becomes all spiritual, or how to...
It's when we make a choice, because when we make the choice to become a devotee of Krishna, we're going to experience some things in our life that remind us that that is the right choice. So at this point early in somebody's spiritual life, it's very important to have association with people, because you're going to flip-flop. It's like you're gonna go test the waters. You're gonna, oh, Krishna consciousness, nice. Wait a minute. Really? Maybe that was the life. And so Krishna is so kind that when we made the choice, he still provides us to dip our toe in the water for the other experience. However, if we're continuing to make the choice that we want to become Krishna conscious, he will show us through that experience that that's not where it's at. But we have to hear from the people that have done it before, so that we can stay in that association, or we won't stay. For instance, Srila Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction that when a devotee first comes to Krishna consciousness, the impressions of their past life appear, and it can become very confusing for the devotee. And so therefore they need somebody around them, a mentor, to help them to understand them in the right perspective. Well, okay, what is one way to look at that? I become very happy in my Krishna consciousness. I chant my rounds. Maybe you guys have experienced this. You go to a killer Sunday feast or a killer lecture, and you get done, and you throw off your devotee clothes, and you think, let me go eat some popcorn and chill. What's going on there? You have some liberation, you could say, in this wonderful association and this wonderful Krishna consciousness, and your past impressions give you what are your habits to do when you feel like that. And I don't know about you guys, when I do a hard day's work, and I still do, I like to kick off my shoes and kick off my things and go sit and just relax. So we need to be encouraged that how to adjust our habits and those past impressions to see them in the right light and see those activities and adjust those activities so they're favorable for our Krishna consciousness. So my thesis, I guess you could say, is what I'm trying to say is that I can very much understand where people get concerned, because it's like, Nanda-braja, you're telling people that when they go do activities that aren't strong, that it's spiritual. But try to understand what I'm trying to encourage is that Krishna has taken control of your life when you made the choice. And it is absolute. When Krishna enters your life, it is absolute. You might be a demon for Krishna if you go down that rabbit hole. Could you imagine being Fritrasura? What is the role? What is your life about? What are the actions that you're taking so that you can become completely Krishna, so that you can become completely Krishna servant? I understand, I want to be clear here that I understand where we talk. It is very conducive to our Krishna consciousness that we be given an understanding of what material and what's spiritual, and so that we can make those clear distinctions. That's very, very, very important. And so we do have people around there that when Nanda-braja gets onto around us, though, so that when Nanda-braja gets on the Vyasa-san and says, everything's spiritual, we go, well, try to understand that this is part of devotional service too. And that's part of it, is that when devotees are so diverse that we get these different perspectives and get these different inspirations, but then 2 minutes later we can literally get another perspective. And they both can be right. Srila Prabhupada goes in here in this purport and says, the devotee who's purified has all opulences, and the world is at their hand. And then a couple cantos ago we hear, Krishna's so kind to the devotee, they have nothing. This is how, when you made it in spiritual life, you have nothing. You know, your Krishna takes everything away. It's really quite amazing, you know. That's the wonderful thing about, to me, I'm monologuing a little bit here, so I'll make this one thing, I apologize, is that Krishna consciousness is so amazing, that it's such an adventure that you're walking this way, and Srila Prabhupada takes you this way, and then you take you that way, and you're going, whoa, am I supposed to be poor? Am I supposed to be rich? And you, where is my heart? Where am I at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet? He's giving, and then when we surrender that we're at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet, then we can see it in the right perspective and go, oh, you know, he's guiding me like this. He's guiding me like that. And Krishna gives us people around us to help us off with that perspective. Gurus. What do you think, Prabhupada Priya? Because I'd like to hear what your thoughts are, please.
I liked what you said about how, even if we do get into some Maya or something, something that seems to be very material activity, that if we're sincere, that Krishna will teach us through that activity. And it reminded me of one verse from Bhagavatam where it says that devotees may, quote, fall down, but they don't experience, even after falling down, they don't experience material life the way someone who was never a devotee experiences it. Because they can't really, because Krishna is still with them. There's that verse, that part from Nectar of Instruction Purport where Prabhupada says that anybody who has once surrendered to Krishna, Krishna forcibly drags them back home, back to Godhead. So, yeah, of course, no one can force anyone, but yeah, he helps us by making, arranging circumstances in such a way that we realize, maybe the easy way or the hard way, that material life is not enjoyable, and the only way we can be happy is with him. But I think that if we have good mentorship, and we do have this ability to discriminate between what's favorable and unfavorable, I think that's more helpful than what's material and what's spiritual. What's favorable for our spiritual progress and what's unfavorable. And if we have mentors to help us navigate those, the waves, ride these waves, and make the right choices, then we can keep, and that's what it means to surrender to Krishna, is to accept what's favorable and reject what's unfavorable, and sometimes get help to know the difference.
Thank you. Very nice. We started about 5 minutes late, so I'll take my 5 minutes extra if necessary. Hare Krishna. Anything, Stephen? Anybody else? Gokulananda Prabhu, please. Can we give the mic to Gokulananda Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I was thinking about this and specifically talking about the controversial, apparently, there is a controversy. Like in Bhagavatam it says, demigods are immortal. So when it is said they are immortal, are they really immortal? They're not. It's just a very long span of life, that is what is referred to. Or when it says karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam, does it mean immediately, as soon as you take up to Krishna consciousness, all the karmas are gone? One Prabhupada disciple said, if that has happened, then you don't have this material body anymore, because material body is a product of your karma. You'll be a ghost. So there is this time element which is relative. From our perspective, like if we compare it to the ants and other small insects, it is relative. For them, the time span is too long. For us, it is short. So if you look at the things from 16,000 feet, they appear very small. But at the ground level, they appear too big. So from Krishna's perspective, whenever such quotes are there in the scriptures, that span, time span is too short. So in that sense, going back to what you said, right, everything is spiritual, that holds good, you're right. Because from Krishna's perspective, anyone who has come to Krishna consciousness, Lord Chaitanya said, even once anybody says Hare Krishna, is a devotee. But we know there is a science of nectar of devotion, right? There are stages, and there is anartha nivritti, and so on and so forth. So from that higher level perspective, Krishna's perspective, it is so short, it is so tiny. Prabhupada says when we go back to spiritual world, is as if, snap of the finger, as if I never went anywhere. But when we are here in this mortal world, it is such a huge, unlimited span, going back and forth in Mahavishnu's body, coming back, going in again. So actually there is no controversy. It is just the, perspective of looking at it. From our perspective, it appears, yes, there is purificatory process, and there is a material angle and there is spiritual angle also. So that is also good.
Just in relation to Gokulananda Prabhu's point, the acharyas give a nice example that it's like when you're making a flower garland for the deities out of petals. So, sometimes you'll get a bunch of petals in your hand, and then you take the needle and you put it through if you do one petal at a time, you're going to take hours and hours, right? So you get a bunch of petals and you put the needle through maybe 10 petals at a time. So in that movement, it's like it's done, right? Like in one swoop of the needle, all those petals are on the string. So from Krishna's perspective, it's like you come to Krishna consciousness and it's like pure, you know? The needle goes through, you're all pure. Everything's spiritual. But then if you look at it, what's actually happening is one petal, the needle's going through one petal, and then the next petal, and then the next petal, 10 times and 100 times, and, you know, and then you have a garland. So, yeah, so from the perspective of, you know, eternity, it's like, zoop, you know, you're done, you're pure, you're home. But from our perspective down here, where the time is different, it's like, oh my God, am I ever going to get through this petal? Is the needle ever going to get through the petal? Right? And Krishna's just like, zoop, done, garland. Yeah. So, so we have to be patient and try to see that, you know, this life is short and things are happening very fast. And before you know it, we're going to have a beautiful flower garland that we can put on Krishna.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna, thank you for teaching. I just wanted to share my notes and reflections. It's kind of like a process of my mind engaging with what is said so that my heart can understand it. So it is a choice, not a feeling, to direct my heart towards Krishna. Just like the sublime feeling of feeling at home in the ashram when visiting, it is still my choice to move in and engage myself in Krishna's service. The Maha Mantra propels my heart towards Krishna. Krishna is giving me everything I need to perform devotional service. The Lord is conquered by the devotee when we allow ourselves to be conquered by our love for Him. Then I wrote some more notes, then I went back to it and I said, when we choose the actions that allow ourselves to be conquered by our love for Him. And thinking all activities are spiritual can justify hindering activities to our spiritual life. Experiencing the hindering activities, Krishna can use to show you it is hindering and not what is helpful, as long as you continue making the choice to grow in Krishna consciousness. How do you make the choice? Do you say it aloud? Do you make actions like chanting and giving? Hello? Oh.
Daniel, we want to hear you fully.
Okay, thank you. How do you make the choice? Do you say it out loud? Or as long as you continue making the choice to grow in Krishna consciousness, how do you make the choice? Do you say it out loud? Do you make actions like chanting, engaging with devotees? And then I thought about defining choice. What is choice? Choice, the decision to take action. That's how I defined it. And contradictions, I've been thinking a lot about contradictions because I've been seeing them everywhere and my mind just keeps going, contradictions, contradictions. Why so many contradictions? And so I thought about that, and I think I wrote coexisting true experiences described together in one place. And I've been really appreciating how my mind has been opening up to the idea that there's a lot more perspectives that coexist, and do not disqualify the other and do not cancel it out. And even in Maya, if we are sincere, Krishna will teach us through that activity. He shows us what we need to understand. If we are sincere that Krishna will teach us through that activity, He shows us what we need to understand to move forward and grow. That's all I got. Thank you.
I really appreciated your visual about laying my heart at Radha Kalachandji's feet and paying obeisance to him. That's a very helpful visual, and I appreciate that. And then I wanted to comment about what Prabhupada Priya was saying about if we do things that are unfavorable, we might start justifying them. And I don't have much experience. I have a long ways to go. But in my experience, when I start doing something that's not favorable, pretty soon it loses its luster, and I see that. So rather than Krishna taking things away from me, He allows me to give them up, and then that way I'm not resentful. So we see it all the time. We see people who have lots of money say, it doesn't make me happy. So, I think that that the things that aren't favorable become, like I say, they lose their luster, and we make the choice to give them up and to turn back to spirituality rather than to have Krishna make the choice for us. That wouldn't be free will, and that wouldn't be favorable. Oh, you don't have a
Got my mic stolen away. I'm playing. So we spoke today about making a decision. That life, we have to make a conscious decision. And as devotees, we're doing our best to make the decision to always be at the lotus feet of Krishna, at our spiritual masters. And if we do that consciously with that great choice, then we're propelled in a direction that we cannot fail. Matter of fact, when we do that, we enter what's called Srimad Bhagavatam. Our life becomes a story of Srimad Bhagavatam. And you might be Indra and you do something foolish, you get a little egotistical, and Krishna has to slap you a little around until you get back in shape. You might be Chittaketu, where you get all opulences. You might be Sridham Brahmachari, who's Sridham Brahma, who is very poor, and Sudam, sorry, did I say Sridham? Sudam Brahmin, who is very poor, and his offering to Krishna is just some chipped rice. I say that chipped rice is like when you were a kid and you had cereal and you were eating your Wheaties, and the powder in the bottom of the Wheaties, this is like puffed rice, just like the crumbs of your Wheatie box. And he gave it to Krishna, and Krishna was so happy. Who knows what your position in Srimad Bhagavatam is? But if you make the choice and you lay your heart at the Supreme Personality of Godhead's feet and Srila Prabhupada's feet, then you are in Srimad Bhagavatam, and have fun. And it's a wild ride. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki